All right, back again. This is the Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. This is episode number 5. It would have been cool if we could have done the 5th episode on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, we got to plan that better.
Missed that by 6 days.
Yep.
May 11th here in Iowa. I'm Cole Tanner.
I'm Nick Simon.
We're talking about boots. Everything boots. Boots, laces, insoles, functionality. We're going all over the place today with this.
Yep.
So I think one of the big things I realized right off the bat when we decided to do this, and I put all the different boots in my truck this morning. First off, don't leave your boots in the back of your truck for half the day. Super smelly. 2, I have got way too many boots. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are my new babies right here. These are the Crispy Brickstall Pro SF GTX.
Yep.
That is a long name.
Yeah.
But I just got these, got them sized up right, and I'm pretty excited about these. What I'm going to be wearing this year, but we're going to go through a lot of different boots.
Right.
Everything about just everything. We're going to talk about from start to finish, from being in camp to freezing your butt off in late season.
Yep.
We're going to go through the whole plethora. So to start, I think one of the things that gets super overlooked when it comes to hunting or hunting boots, or if you're going on a hunting trip, is I would call them like camp shoes.
Yeah.
Right. I think when I used to guide in Colorado, we had a lot of guys that would come and they would only bring their hunting boots, and then we would end up stopping at Walmart, getting a pair of flip flops or something just so they had something else to wear. But the two things that I run with a lot, depending on where I'm at, is Crocs. Man, I love a good pair of Crocs. I have had these bad boys forever. You can tell the bottoms, they are just worn out. Size 9 to 11. They even give you a little in between.
Yeah.
You can either run them in 2-wheel drive, or you can kick them into 4-wheel, depending on the situation. But I love a good pair of Crocs. I think, honestly, these are kind of my go-to. I try to make a trip, or if I can, I go up to Alaska, and these Crocs go with me wherever I go. It's great when you get back to camp at night if you're in, to take your actual boots off and just put on these, let your feet breathe. The nice thing too, when you put them in 2-wheel drive, if you're dealing with any type of blisters, man, it's great to be able to get that stuff material away from your heel.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I love a pair of Crocs. Man, I use these a lot. I've had these forever. My wife gets mad because I wear them on summer vacation. I think they're awesome. She thinks they're gaudy, terrible, ugly, and they are pretty ugly. They're not the prettiest of blue.
Yeah.
But they're the way to go. The other thing that I would say that I've really started to use is I call these, again, like camp shoes. These are just some Merrells, excuse me. These are worn out. They've got holes, and I mean, look at the bottoms. They're pretty ripped up. But the nice thing about these is these have got a Gore-Tex liner, which I really like. Again, like if I'm in Alaska or if I'm out west, I don't want to have my actual hiking or hunting boots on all the time. And so it's nice, like when you're traveling through the airports, or you're actually just getting there, you're shooting your bow, or you're in a base camp where the ground might be a little bit dewy and you don't want to get, you don't want to have your hunting boots all the time, but you don't want to have Crocs on because your feet are going to get wet.
Yeah.
These are a great shoe that I wear traveling back and forth, especially with the Gore-Tex. It seems like you can go to about any retailer now and find shoes like this that have a nice Gore-Tex liner.
Yeah.
These have got the Vibram sole. I think the Vibram rubber holds up really good, but the glue that they didn't really hold up.
Yeah.
But again, I just beat the tar out of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like wearing these Merrells have worked really good for me. Honestly, I'd probably get another pair. And like you said, they've just got that little bit of waterproofness. Now, you're not going to walk across a river in these.
Right.
But if you're walking across a wet meadow, or, if you're at a cabin or in your tent and you got to go across, some just a little bit of wet country, it works pretty good for that. And man, these feel like you're just walking on, clouds when you take your hunting boots off after a long hunt.
Yeah.
So these are pretty legit.
Yeah.
Again, both uninsulated. But yeah, man, go get yourself a pair of Crocs.
Yeah.
Do you have any Crocs?
No.
See, you're a slipper guy.
Yeah. Love me some slippers.
Nick came up, whenever he comes over to my house, what type of slippers do you have?
Ugg, baby.
Yeah, so Nick's Crocs are Uggs. But
they're not really Crocs.
Oh, sorry. But I'm saying your version of a Croc is an Ugg.
Yeah.
And they're blue.
Gray.
Oh, okay. I think they look blue.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was a little housewarming gift to myself.
yeah, maybe I'm colorblind.
Yeah.
Okay. So from there, we work up into more of like, I wear a lot of hiking boots. That seems, for me throughout the year, I obviously, we live in Iowa, but I do a lot of stuff out west. I go to Alaska. So I'm trying to find a boot that is pretty versatile, and I inherently have gravitated over the years to more of a stiffer shanked boot, meaning the bottom of the boot is a lot stiffer.
Right.
It's really personal preference. Years ago, before I started using stiffer boots, I used boots that just were not as stiff. Like, I think they still sell them. Danner Pronghorns is a really popular boot. Yeah. I used to wear those for a long time. They have a Gore-Tex liner, pretty flexible.
Right.
But like you said, just doing stuff in the mountains and things like that, but then wanting to wear them around here too, I've just gone to a stiffer boot.
Yeah.
So with that said, though, this is a perfect example of a couple things going completely wrong. I have had these boots now. So it's 2023. I had these boots in 2011. So it's been quite a few years ago. Yeah. They honestly have been sitting on the shelf for a while. Whenever my boots get retired, they turn into lawn mowing shoes. So you can see the grass stains. Yeah. That's why they're all green, because they turn into lawn mowing shoes. But I did a couple things wrong with these boots. First off, this was really one of the first super stiff boots that I had ever worn. And I would really tell a person, if you're listening to this, to go to a local shop, that has got boots that you can try on, and try on a couple different sizes. Cause that's where I made the mistake here this is a very, very stiff boot. Like, if you can't see it if you're listening, but if you're watching this, you can't bend it. I mean, It is a full shank and it is stiff. Like, there is no bend in that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think I made the mistake on when I went to like a full shank stiff boot is I thought I needed to have the boot be smaller, because it seems like in a full shank, where your heel kind of locks into the boot, you really want your heel to be super solid in there, because you don't want inherently with these stiff boots, like your foot will kind of lift up, but the boot doesn't move. And so you have to it's kind of a fine line, right? And I inherently just go, okay, I'll get a smaller size. And then my foot will just be really tight in there.
Yeah.
That's all fine and dandy, except for then it really started to pinch my toes.
Yeah.
I actually, of all things, this sounds crazy, but I got a corn. You ever heard of that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, dude. I got a corn on my pinky toe. It's not fun. Look it up. It's worth a Google. It's actually pretty disgusting. Old people get them. Sorry if there's any old people listening. It's like it's like a callus on your toe where like it rubs a lot. And then like, I don't know if it like your foot sweaty and dirt and grime. And then it constant rubbing, it created like a sore.
Jeez.
Yeah. And dude, it really, really hurt.
Sounds like it.
I'm 38. I was like in my mid 20s, late 20s, having these boots. And I'm like, I've got this weird thing on my pinky toe. And dude, I'm telling you, you could like a little stick could brush up against it. And it was like, Daya. I mean, it was extremely painful. I ended up having to go to the doctor, and the guy, like, I walk in there and he looks at it and he looked at my toe and he's like, you got a corn. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And first thing he said, he goes, are you wearing tight boots? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. And he actually had me come back in. He said, can you bring your boots in? Sure. So I brought them in, and he's like, bring the socks and everything you wear. And they were really thin socks because I didn't have any extra room.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he's like, oh yeah, man. He's like, your boots are way too small.
Jeez.
And it ended up giving me a corn on my pinky toe. It is not fun, dude. I'm telling you, don't ever get caught up in that.
Yeah.
So moral of the story is stiff boots are awesome, but you need to understand that you need to make sure you get them sized right. And they do walk a lot different. I mean, you have a perfect example right now. If you pull those ones up, pull your boots up on the table. So Nick just ended up getting a pair of, which one do you want me to pull up? The Crispies. So I tried to make my boots look all fancy and make the laces look all fancy, but
I did not.
Yep. Nick's boots are working boots right now. So he's been wearing these. So tell us a little bit about these bad boys.
So yeah, these are the Crispy Brickstyle Pro GTX.
What what they would consider a 4 flex.
4 flex. Yep.
1 is completely flexible. 5 is super stiff.
Yeah. So what Cole had at the beginning of the show was a 5 flex. So stiffer than mine.
Yep.
Yeah, this is something completely different than I've ever worn. I don't know anything about boots really. Honestly, the main reason I got these is because Cole told me to. So, but no, I absolutely love them. I can really tell like what a good boot feels like now.
Yeah.
I've worn rubber boots and stuff, and I would get really sore feet and stuff like that. But these have been just amazing.
Yeah.
Like I would love to wear them every single day, but Cole gets mad at me because he says I'm going to wear them out.
Well,
so I don't wear them every day, but yeah, they've been really awesome, and I'm really excited to wear them this year. I've worn them throughout turkey season, and they've just been awesome, like super comfortable. Yeah, I honestly want another pair so I can wear them daily.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's funny because I have been kind of hounding you about not wearing them too much because I've just, like I said, I've got a lot of boots because I wear them out.
Yeah.
And or the waterproofing, the Gore-Tex liner or whatever, it just starts to kind of wane. You know what I mean? Like at first, man, it feels like you could walk through anything. And then eventually all of a sudden you're like, man, my toes are getting a little squishy.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's like you try to kind of savor that the best you can.
Right.
One of the other things I think is difference between like a pair of boots, these Mindles here that I was describing a minute ago, these are non-insulated.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the big things that you were going around about as well.
Yeah.
Is these are a 200 gram thin
200. Yep.
And go ahead.
I'm my feet run pretty warm. Like before last year, I think the highest I've ever wore was 400. Mm-hmm. And those were a pair of, I didn't have them here, but those were a pair of Irish setters. And man, I wore those for a long time. And I just wore them year round.
Yeah.
I bet you I had those for probably close to 6-8 years.
Yeah.
But I only wore them deer hunting.
Right.
So I mean they didn't get too worn, but yeah, so these are 200 gram thinsulate, and yeah, I'm excited because I think I'll be able to wear them pretty deep into the season.
Yeah.
And I mean, like my feet do get kind of hot, but it's not terrible. 200, I feel like 200 is like the perfect kind of in between.
And you are very warm-blooded. Mm-hmm. See, that's the funny thing for me is I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I'm cold-blooded, but my feet sweat.
Yeah.
So it gets to be kind of a tricky combination.
Yeah.
Right? Because I have not the best circulation and but my feet get hot.
Yeah.
So or they get sweaty and then your socks kind of get a little bit wet and then it's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, these Brickstall Pro GTXs, I guess they're technically like last year's model, which whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
But they're
exactly.
awesome. Like I said, 400 or 200 gram thinsulate. They're a 4 flex. So they're a little bit stiffer.
Yeah, but it's nothing too crazy. I mean, like I haven't ever thought when I'm wearing them like, oh man, these are really stiff.
It doesn't feel like a ski boot or anything. And you're looking at these got a Gore-Tex liner. The other cool thing about these boots is when you look at the tongue of the boot, it's actually leather all the way up to here.
Yeah.
A lot of boots, they'll just have like this cloth material in here.
Yeah.
That's like kind of on the upper half. That'll be all the way down. And sometimes that gets really tough where rocks and stuff can get down in the bottom of here and they can start to kind of dig into your feet. Or if you're wearing like a gaiter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just this cloth material down the middle. It seems like a great place where water can get in.
Yeah. Yep.
The other interesting thing about these is these are these 8-inch high, I think?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think they're.
Yeah, I think they're. I'm not sure. Let's do this. These are 10s.
So they're
the same.
10s.
Yeah, they're 10s. So that's another thing that's interesting that a lot of guys talk about and here's a perfect example. I'm sorry, I keep reaching down to grab other boots. Those are like a 6-inch high. And really, when you look at it, I mean, there's a big difference in the height here. Some people don't like really high boots. They don't like just how high it feels. And it does add extra material, which does add extra weight.
Yeah.
I honestly like the higher. I like the ankle support. Man, the last thing you want to be doing is trying to, wrap up a twisted ankle that you're going to be walking on for the next 9 days,
Yeah.
So I like a little bit higher. Like I said, these are 10s. I think this is like a 7 or 8. I'm not really sure, but it's definitely, you can see the difference in the height there.
Right.
So I'm just throwing stuff all around. But yeah, I mean, pretty killer boots.
Yeah, and like I said, last year was the first year that I ran anything different than those Irish setters. and I got a pair of these lacrosse. I think they're like Alpha Burry Pro or something. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but anyways, just your typical rubber boot. And so obviously it's a heck of a lot different than these.
Right. Even just look at just here, leave that up here. Even just just these kind of, it's funny when you look at these, you look at the lacrosse rubber boots compared to your Crispies, these looks like clodhoppers. You know what I mean? Those look like clown shoes, you know?
Yeah. And that was the thing that it was my first year wearing those, and I just wanted them just so my feet didn't get wet and stuff.
Yeah.
And I liked them. They were okay. I mean, this is just 1 year, and like all the paint's already kind of starting to rub off on them, which I thought was a little odd. But these are just like, it's just so much more comfortable with these. These just felt like my foot played around quite a bit in there, and like just walking long distances just kind of took a toll on my feet a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing that I would say too that's interesting is like when you obviously the inherent big advantage of a rubber boot is that it's a rubber boot.
Yeah.
And you're going to have your feet be dry.
Yeah.
But I have these old muck boots. These are the muck boot wetlands. I have had these. Oh my goodness. These are aging, these bad boys. I probably had these things for 15 years. I've had them forever.
Yeah.
And you can see that one of the things that happens to the neoprene is it starts to get ripped.
Yeah.
Once it starts ripping through, then they're only waterproof as high as the rubber goes. You know, my brother-in-law, like the ones that you have here, these lacrosse ones, they have this like, I don't know what they call this thing in the back, like almost like it's almost like a tongue in the back of the boot that you can loosen up.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sweet because it helps you get your heel in there a lot better.
Yeah.
These ones, my old muck wetlands don't have that. I mean, I think the newer mucks do, which is pretty legit.
Yeah.
But again, the thing that you see, it seems like you see a lot of guys in the Midwest in Iowa, a lot of whitetail hunters that are using rubber boots exclusively just because it really can help cut down on odor.
Yeah.
Right. When you look at like the boots that we're talking about here, they can hold odor a little bit more.
Yeah.
And there is it's pretty handy that these are rubber and it can help eliminate odor. But one thing I will say that to play kind of the devil's advocate to that is they might not smell bad when you like reach down and smell them, but man, they smell bad when you smell from the top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Like my feet sweat like a madman.
Yeah.
Like these are uninsulated. I've never worn insulated rubber boots.
Yeah.
Just a couple times, like where buddies let me borrow them. But yeah, I don't know. That's the thing that I don't understand is like, yeah, it's nice because your feet, you don't get that odor on the outside, but man, you would think that this is like a chimney of odor coming out the top.
Oh yeah.
But so, yeah.
And since we're on the topic of rubber boots, we might as well just talk about the other ones that I got.
Yeah.
The other rubber
yeah,
boots.
absolutely.
And then I also I wore these last year kind of like mid to late season, and these were the 1,000-gram insulate. And same style, but I really did like this zipper on the side. Made it really easy to get your feet in and out. And
that's on the inside, not on the outside. It's on the inside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Inside.
Right on. And then it's got like a
same thing,
like a connector or a snap deal on this side that connects shut,
which is the exact same thing as the other boot, but just on the side.
Okay, so it's like instead of the tongue being on the heel part, it's like on the outside.
Correct. Yep. And I liked this boot a lot. My feet, they almost got too hot because I would just wear a regular just like Nike sock with these.
Mm-hmm.
And,
really, just like a cotton sock?
Yeah, and my feet would sweat so bad that I would still just get really cold.
Oh, really?
So I ended up going to a Darn Tough.
Like a synthetic.
It was a merino.
Oh, merino wool.
And that helped so much. My feet stayed real dry. And that once I switched, that sock made a world of difference. And then I just wore them pretty much the entire time. But
well, and the big thing about merino wool that just to mention is when cotton gets wet, it really loses all of its warmth properties, right?
Yeah.
But when wool gets wet, it can still keep you warm, right? So that's the idea behind wearing a merino wool sock, or like a synthetic or a merino synthetic blend.
Yeah.
It's just light years better than just a normal cotton sock.
Yeah. And then I had the same issue with these. My feet would hurt pretty bad in these after walking
just trying
long
to walk.
days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could say this is a great tree stand boot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your feet will stay warm in them for sure, but if you're planning to walk a bunch of miles and stuff, this probably isn't it. I scouted public land this year, And
Yeah.
I walked like 4.9 miles in these, and my feet hurt for a really long time.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had the Crispies for that, but
Well, so with that said, and trying to kind of go to the other end of the spectrum on comfort, these are my Kenetrek boots. These are 400 gram thin slit boots. They've got a rubber rand all the way around the outside. They're like a 10-inch high boot.
yep.
They don't have a Gore-Tex liner, but they've got this like Wintex liner. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
I've had great luck with them being really waterproof. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking for a comfortable boot, these things have got to be the most. I've always heard people talk about Kenetreks being comfortable, and I never kind of just bit the bullet and bought a pair.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I was going to Idaho elk hunting, and I was kind of in between. I had a pair of boots I was using for Alaska, but I didn't want to really put the miles on them for Idaho.
Yeah.
And so then I made that my excuse to buy a pair of these.
Right.
And I've really, really had good luck with them. These have been retired from the mountains, and now they're just Iowa whitetail hunting boots. I don't know if you can see it on the camera here, but they're starting to get pretty cracked.
Yeah.
I would say another thing that I would recommend, and this is a great example of what happens if you don't wax your boots.
Yeah.
I mean, that was another thing. I was like, don't wear your boots all the time, and we need to get them waxed up.
Yeah. And I disregarded that for about a week. Wore them every single day without waxing them.
And you could already kind of see
Yeah.
how that leather was starting to dry out, where your foot starts to bend. You can see that's exactly what happens here. When I go like that, you could see right where my foot bends and it starts to crack. And that leather dries out and Mother Nature does its thing. So,
Right.
man, I would recommend just get some good boot wax. All these major brands, whether it's Kenetreks, Crispy, Scarpa, Mindel, you can go down the list. Danner, I'm forgetting some. Whatever ones are out there, they all sell a really good boot wax.
Yeah.
Go to your local shop and they can point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to put on just to keep that leather conditioned, keep it moist.
Yeah.
And just help it so that you don't get these huge cracks, because it can have the best Gore-Tex waterproof liner you have, but if you create that crack and you let that water in, it eventually is going to do its thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, 400 gram thin slit. This has actually been a lot warmer than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
I wear these all of October, even into the first part of November, if it's not a like bitter cold day, with cotton socks, and had great luck. I have enough room in these to put like a merino wool or synthetic sock in them. And I really, really like them. Like you said, I would trust these boots. And it's funny, back in the day, when I was, when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, when I would watch like mountain hunting videos, this is what everybody wore. Kenetreks was it. Like they wore the boot.
Yeah.
And it was like they kind of had this iconic, that rubber rand that you would see around the outside. It was like always kind of the way you knew that a guy was a mountain hunter, most likely, because he had them all beat up and chewed up. And these ones have been around the block. So, but again, these are kind of been retired to my, and you can even see the bottoms. They're just getting all worn out. They're getting all scuffed up. And, I wear them to work, and I wear them, and they just, on pavement, they start to get worn out. But I've had great luck with those. So moving from there, these are boots actually that I just retired. It's funny. They're actually, man, I was going round and round. So I've been fortunate enough the last couple of years to take some trips to Alaska, and I'd never worn Scarpa boots in the past. And so I decided to, actually Kuiu made they partnered up with Scarpa, made a boot, and I guess it was like their Kuiu signature, I don't know, whatever they called it. But you can see, like I said, there's a rubber band around the outside. These are actually 200 gram thin slit. They don't have Gore-Tex. They have this high dry material on the inside. I've had great luck with that. I wore these pretty much exclusively in Alaska. One trip in Colorado with a gator on most of the time. I did have a little bit of trouble where if like grab your Crispies again, you can see like on the Crispy boots, they have this little, it's like this little metal deal right here that actually, it's not all for looks, right? Like you get rocks and everything, and you're jamming your foot in between rocks and your laces can break. And you can see right here, a perfect example where I've had to tie mine, both of them I've had to tie because they've broken. But I've had great luck with these boots. There's a little bit of rubber, but on the top half, but down here is all more of this like synthetic material. Yeah. You'll see a lot of boot companies that'll have like a synthetic version and a leather version. This is more of their synthetic version. What made me nervous about these for this year is you can see right here where this is starting to rip.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. You can kind of hear it on the camera. it's got this like dotted material that's pretty tough. But again, where my foot started to bend, it started to wear that out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I was gonna. I didn't feel comfortable trusting them one more year in Alaska.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get my feet wet.
Yeah.
So, but again, 10-inch high boot, 200-gram thin slit, a little bit of insulation, not a ton, right? If I was wearing these in the middle of the summer, I bet my feet would get a little sweaty. But
Yeah.
August in Alaska can be nice, but it can be cold.
Right.
And so, yeah, I had pretty good luck with these boots. Like I said, these will be retired to more. These could be like good Idaho elk hunting boots.
Right.
I could wear these everything for Iowa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear out those Kennetreks first before these will kind of just sit on the shelf for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might wear them to work every once in a while just to give them a little bit of loving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, from there. Actually, one thing that I want to talk about while we're on that subject is this is actually something that the guys from Kennetreks taught me, which I thought was a really, really cool thing. It's how you lace your boots. And again, if you're listening to this, I'll do the best I can to describe it to you. But the way I normally lace my boots was just like you would normally think. There's obviously eyelets halfway up, and then I would just lace them normally all the way to the top and tie them off. What I learned from the Kennetreks guys was actually kind of a different way. And I've heard them, what I've kind of always described it in is locking your laces, meaning that after you come up, like when you're about halfway up, after you get about halfway up, go all the way to the top with your laces. Don't keep crisscrossing to the top. If you've got like these ones have got 1, 2, 3, 4 open eyelets that I have to lace up. So after that first eyelet, I go all the way to the top and then lace them back down. And by doing that, it actually locks your laces in place. When I lace my boots normally, what I'd always dealt with in the past is this might come off that eyelet, or this starts to loosen, or something happens, and all of a sudden you look down or you pull up your pant leg or take off your gaiter and your boots are unlaced. You know what I mean? They just come undone. When you lock your laces like this one here, where you after you get halfway, you go all the way to the top with your laces. You crisscross and go all the way to the top, and then crisscross and go back down each eyelet. It locks your laces in place, and I've had great luck with that. That's the only way that I lace my boots now. And it's funny, I didn't really think anything of it, and then I've been places with guys and buddies, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing there?" Because I just lace them differently.
Yeah.
And it really works great for me. I've had great luck doing that. So I would say, check that out. Like I said, the guys from Kennetreks pointing me in that direction. You can find videos on the internet of lots of different ways that mountaineering guys and stuff, hiking guys will lock their laces in place or lace them up separately or different ways. That's just one way that I've done that's worked pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now to the new ones. These ones, they haven't even been oiled up yet.
That's unreal.
These have they're only on
You got to get on that.
I know. These have been they've only been on carpet so far. I feel like you could like set these down on the side and like, if you had something a little small, you could like eat off of them. They're so clean. But these are the Brickstall Pro SF GTX, which that is a big name. But I guess what it stands for is the Brickstall Pro, same, it's the 2023 model, and the SF stands for stiff.
Yep.
Brickstall Pro SF GTX. So the ones that you just showed earlier are a 4 flex. These are a 5 flex.
Yep.
Same thing we're looking at. Rubber band all the way on the outside, 200-gram thin slit, basically leather on the lower, and then like a synthetic material on the upper. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about these. The Scarpas that I was showing a minute ago are, those were size 11s. These are size 10.5s.
Yep.
I was a little torn on if these are going to be the right size. I actually called Crispy. These Pro SF GTXs have been really hard to come by.
Yeah.
I was real fortunate to get a pair. They're out of stock of the 10s. So I ended up getting the Pros, which they said are pretty much the exact same boots, except a little not as stiff. I got 10s and they were too small.
Yeah.
I would have been making the mistake I made earlier.
Yeah.
So I ended up I'm going to go with these, and I'm pretty excited about them. It's kind of cool. One thing you don't really notice, and it's really just an aesthetic thing, but the way that the tongue system kind of comes off to the side, and the way they stitch it in the front, when you look down at it, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a sharp looking boot.
Like it just looks really cool. I mean, if we had the guys from Crispy, they could probably tell you some sort of functionality of that. Also, Gore-Tex liner. I'll tell you the other thing that I've been really impressed with Crispy, and I feel like I've had good experience with all these companies, is to call and talk to them.
Right.
I've had great experiences because they want you to get the right thing too and have a good experience, because I think in any situation we can both say is just like you were describing earlier, man, if you start getting blisters and you start getting sore feet, that is a great way to ruin a trip right now. The other thing I would say with this as well is that, you know, it's May, right? I almost feel like I'm not too late because I've got time, but these boots will be worn here shortly in the office every single day when I get to work. I will mow my grass with these all summer whenever I'm out doing stuff, even with 200 gram thin slit, knowing it's a little warm. I'm going to do everything I can to put as many miles on these as I can. The other thing that I would really say is man, do not go on a trip with brand new boots. Yeah. You're better off to, if I had to get these, if I couldn't get these until July going to Alaska in August, I would have worn these ones, not even thought about this. Because I would have rather worn a broken in boot that maybe my feet get a little wet than have blisters. Because I know that I'm not going to get blisters with these. I've had good luck. So that's the thing I would say is make sure that you put the miles on brand new boots so you can figure out if you're getting hot spots, what you need to do, your sock setup, your insole setup. Make sure that you get everything dialed in, because the last thing you want us to do is to go there and have blisters, because that can ruin your day. I can tell you that from experience. I actually did I don't even have them here. I did a hunt in British Columbia, a mountain goat hunt, and I got blisters. And you want to talk about buckling you to your knees. It can really, really ruin the day. And especially on mountain hunts and Western hunts, you know, your feet are like the tires on the car, and they just get chewed up. Your feet get chewed up. I don't care what you do. You're pounding, you're putting weight on a pack, 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds extra, and it just pounds your feet. So the other thing that I would say that I was pretty excited to show you, one thing that I've gone to the last couple years that's something different is insoles. These are actually called sheep feet. I heard about these from a person that a buddy that I was hunting with, or that I was on a hunt with in Alaska, that they use sheep feet and they really liked them. And then I did a bunch of searching on the internet and called and talked to them. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. Everything that I read about everybody was telling me is you would wear out the insoles before you'd wear out your boots. And I would tend to believe that now. I bit the bullet. The one thing I will say about these is they are expensive. You're almost paying for a pair of boots with these sheep feet. These cost me like a couple $100 or more. I don't remember. I want to say $250 or $240 or $280 or somewhere in the $2 range. They were expensive. The one thing I remember that I saw in the videos is they have a regular insole and their insole, and they take a bowling ball and they drop it. And on the regular insole, the bowling ball just bounces off the ground because it's basically cement underneath, right? The bowling ball just comes up, bounce, bounce, bounce. With this, they drop the bowling ball and the bowling ball just goes dump. It stops. And they're kind of depicting the idea that just how much of a difference their foam and the way that they're built, how much it's just so much more comfortable on your feet. Plus the cool thing is they actually send you this cool little foam box. And they send you these pretty detailed instructions. They have videos on their website where you actually stick your foot in the foam. And this insole is made for my foot. They have all these little extra features like this. I'm not sure what they call this. I don't remember, but it's some sort of like little heel support so your insole doesn't roll. If you're in really, really steep country, that can be nice because it really kind of locks your heel in place. Doesn't let your heel kind of roll off to one side or the other, which can create blisters. But yeah, I've been really happy with these sheep feet. I wore these in my Scarpas, and now I'll be wearing these in these Crispies. I will say the one thing as well, though, is if you're doing insole boot combos, understand that these insoles are going to make your boots fit a little different. Does that make sense? I was lucky in the fact that the Scarpas that I had enough space that I could put the insoles, and it did make them a little tighter, but it was still okay. The Crispies, that's one thing I talked to you about when I ordered. I'm like, man, I don't know if this 10.5 is going to be okay with the insole. So make sure if you're going to get these, just understand that what it might do to your sizing of your boot. Obviously, they talk about you can cut the end of them so they're fit. You could put your existing insole on them and cut them to the shape that you need. They're obviously a little bit bigger. But yeah, I've had really good luck with these insoles.
All right. Well, I'm all done with all my boots. I don't have any more boots. I didn't bring anything else. You got about 15 more pairs. So what do you got next for us?
You know what? That's not even funny. I think that's rude.
Well,
I do have quite the boot roster. But now we're going to get into my, I guess what you had kind of said earlier is like tree stand boots. These ones I haven't cleaned off since last fall. They're pretty muddy. But these are a pair of Danner boots that I've had for a long time.
can you like point it the other way? It's really stinky.
It's not that bad.
I'm smelling something foul.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that. See, there's a great example of why you want to wear rubber boots. I'm getting dirt all over the table. Anyway, these are 1,200 gram thin slip boots. They've got like a little rubber ran on the front. Like I said, just normal laces up the top, Gore-Tex liner. I wear these if I'm not going to wear my Kenetrek 400 gram thin slits and I don't want to wear my real heavy ones. Mm-hmm. This is a good kind of in between. I don't want to walk around all day in these bad boys, but I can wear I have them sized in such a way that I can wear like a big merino wool thick sock.
Yeah.
And keep my feet warm. You know, if I have to walk too far, then my feet will get sweaty. So I'm always kind of like trying to jockey that. Mm-hmm. So like I said, not an everyday boot, but again, and they're not the stiffest boots. They're pretty flexible, but they kind of serve a purpose. So yeah, this is kind of my late October, early November. You forgot to turn it on. You son of a gun.
I just had a weird feeling.
Oh my goodness. I just totally lost my train of thought. Nope, it's recording. So what just happened is we did a podcast recording the other day and we had a camera malfunction. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thought it was recording. It wasn't.
Recorded for about 10 minutes and then we proceeded to shoot an hour long.
Yeah. Talk.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably the best one we've ever done. I mean, I felt it was magical.
Yeah.
And didn't get any of it.
And we were just doing a podcast.
We got an angle, but not the multi-angle.
Yeah. And we were just doing one. And I bet you guys couldn't even tell due to my editing magic, but this is actually the second part of this podcast because Cole had to get on a call quick, so we just clipped everything.
Yep.
And while Cole was talking, I didn't listen to a single thing because I was second guessing myself on if I hit record or not.
Yeah, so now we're like ultra sensitive to making sure that the cameras are going. We like triple check every time.
It's actually the worst thing in the entire world.
Yeah, you have a little bit of it's a little PTSD.
Yeah, it is because I don't want to do that again.
Post-traumatic. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you.
Because it really was probably our best one.
That was pretty good, and that's how it always goes. But it is what it is.
All right, back on track.
Okay, back to the boots. Like I said, these are 1,200 gram thin slit Danner boots, good for late October, early November. Some people could wear these a lot longer. Like I said, I have cold feet, so that's my thing. Now I'm gonna show you the big kahunas, the astronaut boots, also known as pack boots.
The big babies.
Look at that thing. You know what the crazy thing is that's only part of it. These boots also have a liner, which is pretty awesome. So, yep, pretty fancy. These are Cabela's pack boots. I've had these for a really long time as well. They've stayed in pretty good shape because I'm usually only wearing them, if it's really, really cold or if it's really deep snow. And they've actually held up pretty well. Honestly, I've had these boots for 15 plus years as well. I've had these for a long time.
Yeah.
I think they sell versions of these now. They are clodhoppers. I actually kind of have a little bit of a secret sauce that I do with these actually. If it isn't enough that I have these huge pack boots that have like a dry plus liner, I guess you could call it. So if that's not enough, I mean, these things are big, right? Yeah. I mean, describe what we're looking at here. They are hefty. I mean, they look like you could get on like SpaceX with these bad boys.
They're big.
Yep. But the cool thing too is it also has like it looks like a sock liner. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you can do that I've never done is it's got this little deal right here that's like a little pocket underneath the liner, sock liner that you can put a hot warmer in. I don't do that. What I actually do, and I would also suggest this is kind of my little bit of secret sauce, is heated insoles. I am telling you what, I live and die by heated insoles. Thermacell makes a line of heated insoles. I've had a couple pairs over probably the last 5-6 years. They're battery powered. These the Thermacell Heavy Duty Pro Flex, that's what these ones are. They're the green colored ones. Batteries hold a charge really well. And actually the cool thing about this is they are Bluetooth and or app compatible. I would tell you that my suggestion is don't turn them on. Make sure that they're connected before you lace up your boots and everything, because I've done that, made that mistake. One connects, one doesn't. The battery isn't just set just perfect, and then you got to start all over. But make sure they're connected and then leave them off. Walk your way in, get into your tree stand, and just chill out. When your feet just have a little bit of inkling of a cold that just starts to bite you, turn them on low. And that's all I've ever had to do. When my feet warm up, I shut them back off.
Yeah.
My feet start to get a little bit of a bite, I turn them back on. And I tell you what, these heated insoles have been single-handedly one of the most important pieces of gear that I use for all-day sits, because I don't mind sitting all day. It can be a mental grind in and of itself, but if your feet get cold, you want to talk about your brain giving you an excuse to get out of the tree stand. Right. That is it. And I'm telling you, these heated insoles, there's a few different brands out there that make them. They work really good. So I really, it's kind of the triple whammy. I actually put these heated insoles in the bottom of this sock liner deal. Mm-hmm. Then I put that in the side of this boot. And so it works really good for me. I have also put these heated insoles in these boots, can make these boots a lot warmer as well. I've never tried to put these in my Kenetrex or anything like that. I figured if I'm at that point, I'll just wear a warmer boot.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, I'm telling you, man, heated insoles are the ticket. I know buddies and things that I've told them to, like, oh man, I'm not buying those. You know, they cost like $100 or something, but I'm telling you what, they are worth every penny. I've had great luck with them. Like you said, I've had a couple sets. They don't last forever. Obviously, the less you have to take them in and out of your boots, the better, because you're kind of bending this and there's connections in here. But like I said, they come with a little charger. They plug into like a micro USB. I've had great luck with them. You can even cut them. They come in different sizes. This is an extra large. They think they go from like a medium to like a double X. Mm-hmm. So you can get them for pretty big shoes. The thing I would say is don't think that the whole insole is heated. It's literally, if you don't know if you can't really see it, but if you feel this, you can feel a little bit of a hump right there. Yeah. It's really just heated right there on like kind of like where the ball of your foot goes into your toes. That's where that heat resonates for you. And the batteries actually have a little padding on them. So when you walk, they're actually super comfortable. They're not that bad. I mean, I don't want to walk like 10 miles in them, but they're not bad at all.
Right.
I'm telling you, I know I'm just saying this over and over, but I swear by these things. The only other thing that I didn't bring today, and I kind of just forgot until we got here. I'm like, dang, I'll tell you what, with these Kenetrex boots, the other thing that I've really started to use over the last few years that I get people that gawk at me about, Polartec boot, little booties, zippered up, whatever they call them, boot warmers. Yeah. I'm telling you what, those things work like a dream. They can take 200, 400 gram thin slit boots and it just really ups the R value. You know, I don't know by how much, but I'm telling you, I can, if I know I have to walk in far, I can get away with wearing these Kenetrex and just putting the Polartec boot liners over top of them. And I can do all day sits with that. Knowing that I get cold feet, I can make that work. Yeah. It's not as comfortable as big pack boots, but you don't realize until you use those types of boot liners how much just keeping that cold air off the surface of the boot and how much your foot actually kind of resonates that heat. You know what I mean? It really, really pushes heat out off of the boot. Because when I put those boot liners on, I mean, heck, even throughout the day, you can stick your hand inside there and you can feel the heat. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible. So that would be the other thing. You can get them pretty near about anywhere nowadays. Most retailers, like we have a Fleet Farm here in town. You can buy them at Fleet Farm. Yeah. They come in camouflage. I think you can get them in black. The one thing I will say is I always buy them a little big. Yeah. You know, they have like a little drawstring deal at the front. So buy them a little big. that works a lot better. They're better to be loose and tight. And then the other thing I would say about them is, I have a tendency, I mean, heck, if you can see me here, I'm like moving around all the time. Sitting in a tree stand, I'm sitting, then I'm standing, I'm sitting, I'm standing. You got to be a little bit careful when you're standing. If you at all shuffle your feet, the bottoms of them do make a little bit of noise.
Yeah.
So be kind of cognizant of that. If I have them on, I try to keep my feet in the very, very similar position, or if I need to move, I kind of try to exaggerate the idea of kind of picking my foot up and then putting it back down rather than like letting my feet shuffle.
Yeah.
Because that against the tree stand will kind of make a bit of noise.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had experience with that Polar Tech.
I think you're thinking of Arctic Shield.
I am thinking of Arctic Shield.
Yeah.
I've been saying Polar Tech the whole time.
Yeah.
I actually just misspoke kind of during this whole segment. It's actually Arctic Shield that makes those. I was thinking of the polar bear on the front. I think that's why I got that confused. But they are Arctic Shield. They're not Polar Tech. So I'm sorry about that. They are Arctic Shield. You can get them at pretty much anywhere. Yeah. You have experience with Arctic Shield. That's where you were like, that's not what you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you've used those types of things too.
Yeah, I didn't use the boot covers, but I had they call them heat retaining insoles.
Okay.
And those worked really, really good.
Yeah.
It's just a I want to call it a heated insole, but it's like basically it's got technology in it where it just traps the heat a little bit better.
Okay.
And it worked really well. My feet never got cold. Ever.
Right on.
And I had those in the zip up lacrosse boots.
Okay.
I actually still have them in there right now.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, I will say that they were kind of hard to cut down to size though.
Oh.
Mine are just all hacked pieces, it looks like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I'm not pulling them all right now.
Oh, man. Just be proud, man. So the one other thing I wanted to mention about socks as well is these are my socks that I wear when I go in the mountains a lot, if I'm doing like a wilderness hunt. And I'll wear these here too, but these are smart wool socks or merino wool sock. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. They're not 100% merino wool. It does have some sort of synthetic. I used to run with merino wool socks that were a lot higher. These are like over your calf, but not all the way. It's about halfway.
Yeah.
I've worn socks that go almost up to your knee. The nice thing about the ones at your knee is they don't fall down. But when you're in the mountains and you're kind of counting ounces, it's kind of nice just to like, it's not really that necessary.
Yeah.
So I've gone to kind of a shorter sock, but that's not really what I want to talk about. These are clean, by the way. It's not like they're worn. They look worn, but they're not. This is the thing that I wanted to mention. This is called a polypropylene sock. I don't know why. I guess I do know why. A long time ago when I was in high school, I went on a church trip. We went on a backpacking trip to Colorado. And the guy that we went with, he gave us this list of what to get. He said, get polypropylene socks. And I'd never even heard of it before, let alone gone on a backpacking trip. And the thing that I really like about them as well is especially when it comes to stiffer boots, or if you're in steep country, if you're in rocky country, it does chew up your feet, and your feet are in a lot of different positions. You would think that going up is what really works over your feet, but it's actually what going down that really works over your feet as well. And the nice thing about this is instead of your foot being just right up against like this material of your sock, this will be really, really close to your skin. And I feel like what it's done for me is it's like this polypropylene sock is rubbing up against the merino wool or blended sock rather than my skin. And so I think it's helped me not get as many blisters. And it kind of helps wick that moisture away from your feet. Also, like if you're doing a bunch of hiking, or if you're even, whatever you might be doing, you get a chance to stop and take your boots off and dry your feet out. A lot of times I'll take this sock off, just open up the tongue of my boots, stick this right here, and I'll leave these on. Yeah. And within, a minute, these are dry. They do dry really, really fast. You can tell it just really wicks that moisture away from your feet. So, I know it looks kind of funny to put on these little white deals. You can get them in a few different colors. I've had them in like dark blue before. And you can find them. Sometimes they're kind of hard to find. Now you can find them on the internet. Polypropylene socks. I would say if you've not ever done that, give it a try. Yeah. It's kind of something different that a lot of people, when I wear them, people are like, what are those things? But something to try. Yeah. Yeah. So to kind of bring it full circle, we've put a lot of boots on the table today and kind of talked a lot of different stuff. I guess my disclaimer is, there's a ton of other boots out there. We're just describing what we use. You know what I mean? What I've used in the past. It's not like it's the right answer, the secure all. Like I said, I wear a lot of boots that are a bit stiffer. That's just kind of what I've gotten used to. I wear a lot of boots that are a lot higher. I like the ankle support. I like the not have to worry about twisting my ankle. And so that works good for me. But like you said, if you're hunting in the Midwest, you probably don't need as stiff of boots as what I've described today. You could wear some crispy boots and that's one thing about the crispy stuff that even when you look through them, they do a great job on their website. And even if you call and talk to them and explaining kind of the flex being 1 through 5, meaning 1 being super flexible and 5 being extremely stiff. On how their boots, how that works and kind of what fits your needs. So I think whatever brand you're looking at, I think it really just comes down to use case. Where are you going? What are you hunting? When are you going to be wearing the most? So like I said, there's lots of other options. We just wanted to kind of explain some of the ones that I've had good luck with. I spend a lot of time I spend a lot of time deciding on boots because I've gone on a couple different hunts where I've had bad foot experiences.
Yeah.
And when you've had that, like you said, you don't want to go back to that. You know, like I was describing earlier, I did a videoed mountain goat hunt where I was the videographer, and I got really bad blisters, like bleeding bad blisters where it just ripped my feet up.
Yeah.
And looking back on it now, I know that my boots were, a little too tight and they weren't broken enough, and they were a very, very stiff boot. I don't know. I didn't even bring those here today, but they kind of give me like a haunted bad memory. But I just feel like, so I think that's kind of the part of the reason we want to do this today is just really think about that when you're going out and buying boots. And that's the other thing I would say is there's a lot of great shops out there where you can go in and try these boots on. And like we went into Shields, I wanted to try on some of the crispy boots. And we just asked him, and I said to him, is there anybody here that's used any of these? And this one guy's like, yeah, I have like 5 pairs. Yeah. And he knew everything, you know? And I'm like, well, and he's like, what are you looking for? Why do you like this? And he could really kind of point me in the right direction to what I was looking for. So I would say that as well. Just go in and try some stuff on.
Yeah. And it was, I learned about Crispies at kind of talking to you guys, but the big thing was at the Harrisburg show. I tried on Crispies there. So I kind of knew the size and stuff like that, and that definitely paid off because I don't think I would have known what to get. So it's definitely worth trying them on before you order them.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, what is this? What podcast is this?
5.
Number 5.
Yes, sir.
In the books. Like I said, thanks for listening. This is the Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. I'm Cole Tanner.
I'm Nick Simon.
Thanks for watching. Good luck out there. Boom, 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 boom.